Welcome to Denver Theory Lab.
Denver Theory Lab? Okay.
Denver Theory Lab. Let's do it. I think the U.S. government are going to try to monetize the debt this year. I think they are. And if they do, they get rid of their debt problem. But for all of us, we got a bigger problem. I think now is the time for people to get as much of their wealth as they can out of dollars, to let it just sit outside of dollars. Because I think we're heading for another full-on crash, but they're going. I think they're going to try to offload the debt or monetize the debt. Like another key thing about Venezuela, Venezuela was the fourth largest holder of Bitcoin. Their government was, but not no more. We took it.
Huh.
So there's been a lot of speculation that the U.S. government's going to monetize the debt, and the way they're going to do it is going to also be a way to begin digitizing the currency so that they would issue digital notes. Right now, there's no such thing as a digital note for $1. Yes, dollars can exist electronically, but there's just supposed to be a reflection of a physical dollar. So J.P. Morgan just issued their first digital notes, and the Federal Reserve is expected by many to be right not far behind them. And the idea is that instead of printing enough dollars to pay off the debt, we're going to issue that many digital notes. So 3 trillion digital notes or whatever, which will still destroy the value of the dollar. But they're gonna do something, because all these moves we're making. So 2 days ago we seized 2 Russian oil tankers in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
It's man, we are going as fast as we can to march into World War III.
Welcome to Denver Theory Lab. I'm Jesse.
I'm Kyle.
Where we aim to investigate and explore theoretical and practical ideas, conspiracies, events, and practices from an objective point of view to expand our range of thinking. You can make donations at Denver Theory Lab, on PayPal at Denver Theory Lab. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at denvertheorylab@gmail.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or topic suggestions. So, what's going on in the world today? A lot of crazy shit.
We made it through the holidays. We're all still standing from that, but yeah, man, what a holiday season it has been. So when was the last time we recorded? I want to say that was it 2 weeks before Christmas?
Yeah, it was almost a month ago.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what all has happened in the world since then. It's almost like rapid fire lately. It's hard to even go back further than a week with as much stuff as they have. I guess of course the biggest things is the U.S. Has captured the leader of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and we're holding him in New York. We're gonna make him face trial.
I heard both sides of the party aren't opposed to any part of that.
No, that's what I've been seeing too.
Even the leftists were like, you probably shouldn't have done it that way. It wasn't entirely legal, but we support what you're doing.
Because they want the oil too.
Well, supposedly the oil isn't that great of a resource because you have to process it even more than you would like Saudi oil.
Well, fun thing for that, and I would say this is a tip to any listeners looking for a good company to invest in. That yes, they have a heavier, sludgier oil in Venezuela, and that you need a special refinery to deal with. And now that we know American companies are getting that oil, you can almost guarantee that oil will be refined in America, because they don't have any of the refineries there. We're not going to wait for them to build one to refine the oil. Valero, if you're in Denver, you probably see their gas stations around. Valero is one of the only companies that has the refineries to refine Venezuelan oil. And they're in Texas. The only other companies in America that have those refineries it's a few smaller refineries in Louisiana. But Valero more than likely will be refining that oil. As a matter of fact, if you check their stock price, the day we nabbed Maduro, their stock jumped in price.
Yeah, I bet.
Right? Hey, but if the world's got to fall apart, maybe we can make some money along the way. So,
I think that's always the case.
yeah. Well, then the other big piece of news is America wants Greenland. There's been some talk of buying Greenland. I saw today there was an offer of $100,000 for every Greenlander to buy it. But the Trump administration has been explicit in saying, and I heard this come out of the mouth of Donald Trump, that we would like to do it the easy way, but if we can't, we'll do it the hard way. So they're not ruling out military force to take Greenland.
$100,000 per head?
100,000 per
resident?
head. Yeah.
How many residents are there?
Let's see. How many people live in Greenland? Greenland has a population of around 56,000 to 57,000 people. Not too many people.
So how much is that?
Is that
56 million?
Yeah, I think so. Huh? Let's say 100,000. Yeah, it's got to be. That's not actually that much to get a country.
No, that's pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, 100,000 per person. So 57,000 times 100,000 is 5 million. Or is that 5 billion? 5 million, 7. No, yep. That's 5 billion, 700 million. 5 billion and 700 million.
Tack it on top of the debt. Who cares?
That's a drop in a bucket for our debt. That's a drop in the bucket. So, in lesser reported news, the BRICS nations. So those are Brazil.
Explain BRICS, yeah.
So it's an organization mostly focused around currency and finance. Of its founding members are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and the Saudis, and thus its acronym BRICS. But this is an organization put together about 5 or 6 years ago initially, and they've spent the last several years thinking of the framework of their organization, how they would transition away from using the dollar. So, listeners, if you're not aware, currently every country in the world, our currency is based on faith. It's based on belief. The dollar is backed by nothing but faith. But everybody else's currency is backed with dollars. So you could go to, I don't know if England really does use pounds. I know at some point they did. But if you went to England and, however many English pounds they have in circulation, they have that many dollars sitting in their central bank's vault to back up their currency. Mm-hmm. So every country's currency has worked like that since about, I think it's 1974 when the Bretton Woods Agreement was signed. Let me check that to make sure I'm not saying the wrong time. And because of that, it's given America a dollar supremacy. We get the benefits of the dollar being the most important currency in the world. Let's see, when was the Bretton Woods Agreement? The Bretton Woods Agreement, I was way off, 1944. And I guess the 74 is when we went fully off the gold standard. So there is a certain threat to America if other countries leave the dollar. Going right along with everybody backing their currency up with dollars, the dollar is also known as the petrodollar because it is the only currency, or was the only currency, that you could buy oil in anywhere in the world. That changed just a couple of years ago. The Saudis started accepting the Chinese yen to buy oil, which we didn't like. Other countries threatened to do it before that. Saddam Hussein threatened to do it, but it didn't work out for him.
Well, yeah. I imagine
so
that had something to do with their animosity.
Yeah, I think so. Because if all of a sudden, now that everybody's been the only way you can buy oil ever since the end of World War II is to have dollars, and all these countries keeps dollars in their safe. If China were to move away from the dollar, then that would mean they don't need all the dollars in their vault anymore, and all those dollars re-enter circulation, which would immediately destroy the value of the U.S. dollar. So we've been dealing with inflation for years. It would just accelerate the inflation and further destroy our currency. So the prices of things could double or greatly increase overnight. January 1st, 2026 was the first day that any of the BRICS nations began operating without dollars, or with using dollars a lot less. Now all those nations are using the Chinese yen to get oil. They're backing up their currency with the Chinese yen, and not just the Chinese yen, but they're kind of relying on each other. So China will say, okay, well, we're going to have some Russian currency and some Indian currency all to back up ours. We're going to, instead of just relying on one central backer for everything, we're going to rely on each other to try to build a multipolar world, which is a big threat to America. So I think it could have a big reason why we went into Venezuela. Venezuela provides China with a lot of their oil.
Benefits if you are in BRICS and you do all of this?
Yeah, then you're not tied to the dollar system. So right now, the dollar system, if anytime you've ever heard of somebody on TV say the USA is imposing sanctions on this country or sanctions on that country, we can't impose sanctions unless they are on the dollar system. So when we impose sanctions, it's us weaponizing the dollar, which is honestly, in my opinion, we should never, ever do that, because if you are the world's reserve currency, you got to kind of separate that from politics of like, hey, we might not like what you're doing, but we're not gonna mess with your financial system and try to starve your people out. It's a tool America uses to try to get people to revolt in other countries. And so the benefit of not being on the dollar system also is that when the dollar does go down, they won't go down with it. When the dollar finally collapses, every country on the dollar system will go into a depression with us. And the countries that are not on the dollar system, the countries that have a lot of gold or silver in their reserves, or even cryptocurrencies like El Salvador in their reserves, will be able to weather the storm much more. When the dollar collapses in value, every currency that is backed up by the dollar will collapse in value. So just like the Great Depression, where it spread around the world, it'll spread around the world, but worse, because back then everybody's currency wasn't based on the dollar. So there's been some speculation that that's part of the motivation for taking control of Venezuela and their oil. Venezuela supplied China, I believe, with like roughly 30 to 40% of their oil. Iran supplies them with a large amount of it as well. So if our leaders think that war with China is inevitable, well, all modern militaries need fuel.
Yeah, they're going to first attack their resources.
Yeah.
Or at least try and get in the way of it.
So if nothing else, maybe we have delayed a conflict with China. To me, I look at that and I think to myself, all right, well, if we're making all these threats against Iran, which that's been another big thing in the news, lots of threats to go into Iran, and there's lots of protests in Iran, and we've already taken out Venezuela, which supplies China with a lot of their oil.
We cut off their other supply from Iran.
But do they just sit around and let that happen? Do they just sit
around? China?
Yeah. Do you just, like, if you're China, do you just sit back and be like, well, I guess.
Especially if they're not, the antagonist, like,
right.
You're fucking with my finances, get the fuck out of my pocketbook kind of thing.
Right. And you're messing with our oil. We're messing with their ability for their people to get around. So we watched, they've stood by as on Venezuela, but this is regime change like we've never seen it done before, at least in my lifetime. So we'll see if we go into Iran and if they stand by for us going into Iran. To me, as I watch all of this happening, I'm just wondering why the rush to conflict? Why the rush for a land grab? And it seemed, if I had to guess, I feel like our leaders know something that they're not sharing. They know
that's
there's
always
something.
the fucking case, isn't it?
But it's almost like whatever it is, they know it's urgent. Like something's coming. Like, did you see Trump's his Christmas message?
No.
He said, "Enjoy what may be your last Christmas."
What the fuck?
And
Why?
he said it on video camera, and then he posted it on his social. Let's see if I can pull this up. Which,
Why?
he might as well have.
Why would he say that?
Might as well have finished that off with this message has been sponsored by Fallout.
Oh fuck. I just watched like the first 15 minutes of that movie. It was pretty fucking nuts.
It's a show.
No, there's a movie.
There's a movie?
There's a movie now.
Oh.
Or is it a show?
Yeah, on Amazon.
Oh yeah. I guess it is a show.
Enjoy what can be your last Christmas. Yeah. Oh, that's what he did say that there. Donald Trump rants about Epstein and Democrats as he threatens Americans to enjoy what may be your last Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Your last Merry Christmas?
Yeah. That's what it's quoted there.
What may be your last Merry Christmas? Okay.
Maybe it won't be merry anymore.
It's all still oh so ominous, Talk about ominous.
So in the midst of this Venezuela shit and the Minneapolis shit, which we haven't talked about yet,
Oh yeah.
didn't a bunch of Epstein files come out?
Yeah.
And like there hasn't been a peep about it
Yeah.
online because of all this other shit that's going on, which I am a firm believer that most of what we see in headlines is a misdirection anyways.
I agree.
It's to create a veil so that they can continue.
Not only did the Epstein files come out, now, personally, I don't believe this is an accident, but the narrative from the government is, so Pam Bondi releases these Epstein files, Attorney General Pam Bondi releases the Epstein files in PDF format, heavily redacted, so lots of it blacked out, but because it was released in this PDF format, anybody can just copy the text from the PDF file, paste it into Word, and you can see the unredacted text. So, but I mean, we're supposed to believe that, dumb Pam Blondie she just fudged it. She just didn't know better. And the government accidentally released these files that are blacked out, but you don't even have to really try too hard to see what it says not blacked out. I have trouble believing that that's an accident.
Yeah.
I increasingly believe that our government is trying to provoke violence from the public. That's what they want. So, we hadn't mentioned the Minnesota thing yet. Tragically, is it 2 days ago now? 2 days ago?
Yeah, something like that.
And ICE officers shot a woman in the face.
I thought it was January 2nd.
No, it was.
Or 2 days ago, I guess. Maybe Maduro was January 2nd.
Yeah, the Maduro was January 2nd or 3rd. Let's see. The Minnesota ICE shooting, January 7th, 2 days ago.
Yeah, okay.
The video, I will say I've watched a couple of different videos from different angles, and it does all happen really fast. I want to be careful not to condemn anybody, but it's hard to look at the video and think that officer was in danger. I know I've read an article.
Not life and death danger, I don't
not life
feel
and
like.
Death, yeah.
No.
So
yeah,
I did
I watched
read an
it
article
multiple times, too, from multiple different angles. And
a couple of weeks ago, or it might have been a little over more than a month ago, that officer was dragged by somebody else in a car. And to me, I'm like, well, why didn't you pull him off the force? Don't leave him out there. He clearly is traumatized from that. But not that long ago, in 2025, another person, unrelated to what happened in Minnesota, did hit this officer with a car, and he was dragged. Now, the whole story that I read is they were telling someone to get out of the car.
So
they didn't get out of the car,
you're
and he broke their
insinuating
window.
that
he was
has,
traumatized.
Yeah, traumatic experience. He's traumatized from being hit by a vehicle before.
And dragged by a car, yeah.
Within the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, and they had him out there still.
Yeah, what? No, that's not okay by administration there.
Oh, it's still terrible, but I'm like, absolutely no charges are going to come against this officer. They've already made that clear. They're giving ICE absolute immunity, and they tried to say this woman was a terrorist. It definitely doesn't look like she was trying to run him over.
No, she turned the wheel
to go a different direction.
Yeah.
But his two shots came so fast. Like that first shot.
Yeah, as soon as he drew his weapon, he fired.
Yes.
It wasn't like any hesitation or cease and desist, or there was no command given once he drew his weapon. It was like immediate fire.
They were telling her to get out of the car before that. Then her wife, standing nearby, you can hear her yelling, told her to drive, And that's when she started to drive, and that's when they shot. Now, I mean, it's
Then Trump said something. Clearly, this person is a professional instigator,
agitator. Yeah, he said
agitator, or
something
some shit.
despicable about it. Yeah, but I feel like we are past the stage where protesting and getting out there in front of these people serves any good.
No, I tell that there's supposedly a protest tonight
People should not go.
downtown. And I've said over and over to all these people that are activists and everything. I was like,
You're putting a target on your back.
I'm all for like a rally, or let's get public awareness about something, or let's start a rally so we can sign petitions and whatnot. Follow legal practice,
Right.
but
Even that, you
just
might
getting
not be
down
safe
there
right now.
and yelling and screaming is just an invitation for violence at some point.
Well,
Because one side or the other at some point is going to get frustrated or make a mistake, God forbid, and somebody's going to get hurt or die.
yeah. No, and I think
There's no-
personally we're
there's no
past the
due
point where
process.
illegal, where even if you do what you're legally supposed to do, you are still endangering yourself. If people have made a lot of Nazi references over the years with Trump. If ICE is like the Gestapo, then going against them in a very public way at this stage, at least what I feel is dangerous. You're endangering yourself. You're putting a target on you. They've already come out and said that they're gonna, like, their next step is to target the social media. They're gonna be looking at what people have said on social media, and that's how they're gonna target people. And in response to the Minneapolis shooting, where this woman lost her life, J.D. Vance, our vice president, gave a speech today saying that ICE will go door to door in America and check citizenship door to door. And they even had another administration official speak to that later and said they would use census data and go door to door.
Do you have a direct quote to what J.D. Vance said?
Yeah, let me pull this up. So yeah, he was sitting with an interview on Fox News, and they were questioning him about the Minnesota shooting, questioning him about, hey, will getting illegal immigrants out of the country improve the economy? So, he mentioned that right now they've got about 22,000 agents, up 10,000 from a year ago, and they're expecting that number to rise a whole lot more. He's expecting the amount of deportations to rise a whole lot more. Okay, here we go. So, Vance said the more aggressive enforcement that began in 2025 will ramp up this year. All of the big investments that we've made in border security, what we've done is actually gotten 2.5 million illegal aliens out without any of the really big marquee things that we've been working on. So I think we're going to see those deportation numbers ramp up as we get more and more people online working for ICE, going door to door, making sure if you're an illegal alien, you've got to get out of this country. And if you want to come back, apply through proper channels.
Well, working online, what does that mean?
Well, I suspect that that the surveillance state is working hand in hand with ICE to find people. And I suspect getting people online would mean they're monitoring us online. Like, there have been articles recently talking about the equipment that ICE is using when they pull in, when they show up somewhere. They have a van and they've got a device in there very similar to what police departments across the country have used for years that allows them to monitor all the cell phones in a neighborhood from this device. So they see your movements. They as quick and as easy as our phones are able to figure out where home is. I have now because I've moved recently, but in the past, I never had to program in where home is into my map. My map figured it out from the data, of seeing where you are. The phones often suggest where your work is based on your habits. ICE is using their software to monitor entire neighborhoods and to catch on to people's coming and goings, where you go to work, what time you leave. And they're also monitoring messages. They're not only monitoring the movement of the devices, they're monitoring the activity on the devices. And I believe they're looking for any sort of messages that would incriminate someone as being not here legally.
So where were we going with this?
So, I mean, all of these all of these moves, I guess I said this to you a little bit before we started recording, but I wanted to make sure I mention it here too. It's like this, the news that hasn't been at the forefront of the headlines and is the financial news. There's, I mentioned those BRICS nations. So BRICS, they put the framework together years ago, about 5 years ago, starting around 2015. That's when they started putting the framework together. But of course, something as big as changing your currency and the underpinnings of your currency isn't something you can just do overnight. You got to set the framework up and really ease into that. January 1st, 2026 was the first date that any of the framework that BRICS has put together actually kicked in. So BRICS nations are using dollars a whole lot less. So there's a serious risk right now of the dollar losing a lot of value through inflation. If China or India or any other country, China the most dangerous, were to offload their dollars from their vaults. And if anybody looks at the price of silver, it's going through the roof, higher than it's ever been. Financial markets have decided to make it a financial commodity again. So banks are using it as a financial commodity. And right now, even though the value of silver has gone through the roof, if you have silver, if you have a bunch, you can't sell it. Nobody will buy it. You can go to a pawn shop and go to where they're not going to buy it from you right now.
Too expensive.
No. Not that it's too expensive. If it's too expensive, all the more reason why they would want it. The value is going through the roof. Financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, and numerous other financial institutions around the globe implemented new regulations that kicked in on January 1st that make the buying and selling of silver internationally very difficult. So it's going to be very difficult to get it in or out of the country, which is why they won't, you can't sell it right now if you got it, because they are going to have a hard time selling it once they get it. So a lot of the financial troubles that we're getting ready to go through, for example, some of it's already begun on December 28th, 2025, before we finish the year, a bank failed, or some major bank failed their silver margin call and got repossessed by the Federal Reserve. And the Fed had to inject a bunch of money into the financial markets to save this bank, cover all the accounts. It was the biggest injection of money since COVID. They're not really reporting it very much. It's not. They're keeping that one quiet.
That's big news.
Wait, they don't want the markets to panic. Let's see if I can pull that up. December 28th. So 34 billion. I thought I saw it higher than that. And so 67 billion for the week. That's 20 hours ago. Yeah. Of how much they've added to the economy, and global liquidity of US dollars is at an all-time high.
Meaning everybody's holding on to their currency?
No, meaning there's more dollars out there than ever before. So, I mean, they just did this whole 67 billion just to cover a bank that went down. But the important part for me when I read that story was, why did this bank need to be repossessed? The bank failed a silver margin call. We know almost none of the banks have 100% of what they say they have.
No.
And the law says they can do that.
They probably have 3% of what they actually say they have.
I hope not. But fractional reserve banking says they don't even have to have 10%. They have to have, I think it's right now, it's at like 7 point something percent is how much the banks actually have to have.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's what leads to the financial crises. Why would we ever allow that? Like, the only benefit is when you let them do that, they're able to extend credit, and so your economy can grow. But like 50%, anything below that seems, we're getting a little crazy now, aren't we?
Well, they wouldn't let anybody else do that.
No, exactly. But I understand the reasoning behind at least allowing some fractional reserve banking, because it allows the banks to generate wealth. But yeah, as low as it is, it seems immoral. But yeah, what stood out to me with this story is that this bank that had to be repossessed by the Federal Reserve, leading to $67 billion being injected into the economy, they failed their silver margin call. Well, the bank would have had a hard time getting silver thanks to the new regulations, making it very difficult to buy silver outside of the country or sell it outside of the country. So the stress on this bank, as far as I can tell, this is if this becomes a crisis, this crisis was started by the banks, by the international banks, because they imposed the regulation on silver. They tightened the market on silver, and now if we have a bunch of banks fail because they don't have the right amount of commodities in there, if the first domino was knocked over by the Fed with this regulation, there was no reason to put this regulation in place. But this regulation
that we can see at this point, I'm sure they would have
had
sort of
some reason.
motivation.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have had some reason. But I'm just if this leads to a major financial crisis, even though it won't be reported that way, I'm saying it here first. The reason for this, like the last one, like the Great Depression, they are intentionally causing a financial crisis.
Well, I think that's what they want. They want us in crisis.
Yeah, well, I think the point's not so much to traumatize the people. I think the point is to they want to monetize the debt. We got a debt bomb in this country, and there's been a lot of speculation that they're going to monetize the debt by issuing digital notes. Right now, there is no such thing as a digital dollar.
Explain the actual definition of monetizing the debt.
So, to put it plain, we're going to print enough money to pay off the debt. But the speculation is they're going to do it in a novel way, not necessarily printing it. Right now, there is no digital U.S. dollar. It's like a cryptocurrency version of the U.S. dollar. The speculation is that they're going to issue digital notes. And let's see, what's the total on the U.S. debt right now?
Trillions.
I think it's like 3 point something trillion. 38.4 trillion. So the idea would be they would issue 38.43 trillion digital U.S. dollar notes.
Take all cash currency away?
No, cash currency remains. It's begin the transition. Begin the transition. So you have your cash, which how much cash do you see around? I feel like cash is dying anyway because we don't use it.
Well, I think they've been slowly working their fingers into everybody's digital bank accounts because they want the surveillance. They want to see where every fucking dollar goes.
More control.
So they have more control. If you're using digital currency, it's easier to track. You can't track somebody's, the drug dealer on the corner that's shelling out dimes for $10 a pop, right? In cash.
Right.
Unless you got somebody watching them the whole time.
But if all the money's
digital, it's all there.
So yeah, I think this is their way of transitioning into it. So you're not necessarily getting rid of the dollar just yet. You are just issuing its alternative. So its alternative can start being in use, and then you further fade the dollar out. But that's right now. That's just speculation that they're going to do that. If they issue 38 trillion digital dollars, the idea would be to spread those around the world. Just like Bitcoin is held by holders all around the world, we would issue those notes, people buy them, and it's spread all around the world. And thus, we've spread the liability for our debt all around the world.
So we just pay China back with digital dollars?
Essentially, it would be paid. And most of our debt's not owed to China. The debt's owed to the bankers. It's owed to the Federal Reserve.
Oh.
But yeah, essentially, like once we issue those, it's paid. And now, when I say spreading the liability around the world, anybody who gets one of those digital notes has an interest in seeing its value increase. So anybody who gets one of those digital notes, it's in their interest to see America thrive, And plus, debt gone. Once you got that, then no more debt holding America back.
What's on the fine print of that digital dollar? Isn't there fine print on every currency that we carry around?
Yeah, but there would be no fine print in there. It would be coded like a blockchain currency. So the important thing for that one is that J.P. Morgan's issued a digital note already. They did that right at the end of the year, late December. And J.P. Morgan's closely tied to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was, founded from members of J.P. Morgan. So the Federal Reserve serves a different purpose than a regular bank. The Federal Reserve is supposed to be the bank that lends to banks. So some people have speculated that they wouldn't issue a regular dollar, maybe some sort of special note only for banks. No matter what they're going to do, I feel absolutely certain that big changes with our currency are coming. The price of silver and the price of gold alone show that. So let's see. If I pull up the silver price 100 year, and as you can see, we got a big jump in silver around 1980. We've got 2008. It got a little unstable, but then it rose a bunch. But yeah, silver's at its all-time high right now. And price of gold 100 year. The price of gold and silver only, like their rise is an indicator of a lack of confidence in the dollar, because everybody's got their currency backed up by dollars.
Is it just silver? Is it gold too, or platinum, and any other commodity?
Well, gold and silver are the only financial commodities. And silver has a military purpose now too. So almost all of our missiles and everything else use silver. The hardware and the components, the chips and everything, they use silver. So silver is not just for the banks, but it's for the military too at this point.
And glitter.
Yeah, and glitter. Can't forget that. I think the best thing anybody can do right now, staring down the barrel of 2026, is get as much of your wealth as you reasonably can. Everybody, you got to pay your bills and eat, but as much of your wealth as you reasonably can out of dollars. And I would not buy gold, because if we are living through a repeat of history, and look at the size of the U.S. debt, and remember what happened in the Great Depression, they seized all the gold and they made it illegal to have. So if you're buying gold and you got gold bars thinking that's going to save you when everything hits the fan, you very well might just be hanging on to gold for the government. Because if they seize it and make it illegal again, then you even selling your gold is a black market transaction.
So how do you get all your money out?
Stocks is what I would recommend.
Buying foreign currency and
no, I would recommend
foreign
stocks. I would recommend American domestic stocks, but I would recommend my recommendation would be assets, domestic assets, but just as long as it's not just money sitting in the bank, because if they monetize our debt, if you thought you were, if you're sitting there like, oh, I've saved 20 grand, I've got that sitting there, it's my little safety egg or whatever, your 20 grand can be worth a lot less overnight. If they monetize our debt, that the value of the dollar will fall significantly to the point where we could be looking at double prices of everything and could be easily looking at gasoline over $10 a gallon.
Speaking of stocks, I heard that Shopify is now going to be injecting inline clickable links and ads in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So if you're searching something on ChatGPT or researching something, it can inject an ad to you that goes directly to Shopify.
Oh, and it doesn't even look like an ad. I learned, we've been talking about this at my company recently. So, because we've been approached by some of the salespeople who want to sell us, you're essentially paying for your placement. So let's say somebody searches, hey, I'm looking for a vacation rental up in Winter Park. Well, if we pay, then, ChatGPT or your search engine is going to tell you us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was very disappointing, honestly, for me to learn that this is how it works. Because it's like, oh, I thought it was searching and using its AI brain to give me the best answer possible, not the answer that the person who paid the most money paid for me to see.
It's whoever's got the most money.
Yeah. At least when I use ChatGPT a lot, I have never seen it say ad, So I'm always assuming that it's just giving me the...
It already does give you clickable links?
It does. Plenty of clickable links. I just never assumed that people were paying for me to get those premium spots.
All right. Any other? Well, so what came out in the Epstein files that we were misdirected from?
I haven't seen nothing too crazy.
What was redacted and then readable?
Well, I mean, over 20,000 pages.
All of it?
Yeah. Over, like I said, but as far as I know, the internet's still like sifting through it. The big things I've seen it's just more of the same, that people abusing children and that sort of thing. So I've seen some more interesting stuff from a different angle on Epstein that I thought was intriguing. Ghislaine Maxwell was selling technology or marketing technology, selling to rich people. That the claim was that they were going to be able to make new countries rise out of the ocean.
What?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Make a new country rise out of the ocean.
Like Atlantis went down, except for coming up. An ocean conservation nonprofit called the Terra Mar Project, creating global ocean community, blah, 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 raising awareness. And now we're going to have to go into ChatGPT for this. Like, the graphic I saw was they were talking about making changes and to make you look at the Caribbean region to essentially make it one big landmass. And I'm not sure how they would go about doing it, but that's the general idea of what they were saying.
Dredging sand like they did in Dubai?
Maybe.
Making like little sandbars?
Crypto utopian microstates were floated. Seasteading. Let's see. Floating cities in international waters. I can't see that one happening. Charter city crypto zones, the most successful, operate inside a host country, use special economic legal zones, crypto-friendly law, private arbitration. Well, that's kind of what we got in some places where, like, D.C., the Vatican, City of London, those are all spots that have, like, special rules within the entity they're already in. So it sounds like they just wanted to do more of that. But, yeah, for me, the most interesting angle with Epstein is the stuff they were working on business-wise, and all the speculation that they were running a breeding program.
Yeah. I mean, part of it was blackmail. Part of it was maybe a breeding program, or just, I think it was a big, just giant intel to get intel on everyone and everything. Because if you've got blackmail on somebody, then, okay, they're going to spill their guts, most likely, if you can completely bury them with pedophilia.
Right. Well, and yeah, I've seen the stuff that suggests that he was, in a way, like a bit of a free agent.
He's a mercenary.
Yeah, that he gathered intelligence
from both sides from every angle.
And but the angle I've seen that makes the most sense to me is that he was what you can call a free agent, in the sense that he didn't work for Mossad or didn't work for CIA or some country's intelligence. But a lot of the communications, it almost looked like he operated above them, at a level above them. And so I've seen some people speculate that Jeffrey Epstein worked for someone in the Davos Club. So, they have their big meeting in Davos every year, similar to their Bilderberg meeting, except for a little bit less secretive with that one for Davos. And the idea is that he worked for somebody or some group that attends Davos. And that's why he would have these interactions that almost makes him seem like he's above the CIA or above Mossad. Because if you're working for somebody at Davos, well, those are the kind of people that the intelligence agencies really work for. The super rich who go there and decide what they want to see happen in the world. So, but yeah, Jeffrey Epstein had an unusual interest in eugenics adjacent language, like elite genetics, legacy. Talked about wanting to seed his DNA in many children. And, and a lot of his places had medical facilities in them, which is just weird, very weird. And when I think about a breeding program, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is, if you have a breeding program, there must be something you were trying to breed for, Well,
yeah, What's the end game? What's the end game?
Not just to say, oh, I have a whole brood of children here, but there must be some trait, I would imagine, that you are trying to breed for. Because an interesting thing about Jeffrey Epstein and the breeding program allegations is that he wasn't interested in brown people whatsoever. He was interested in Nordic people. There was not a single brown or black woman ever taken, or man. And people always talk about the women, but there were a lot of men. He got a lot of men too, because They were trying for the breeding program portion of it. They wanted men and women. So people, what they talk about in the news is just the creepy angle of, him abusing women and whatever they had going on for the blackmail portion. But I really feel like there's more to that story, and there's more to the story in a way that would probably blow people's minds, because what always stands out to me is that why are they content to let us think that they're all pedophiles? Surely you would want to, there's got to be a patsy amongst them, somebody who's upset the group or, fallen foul of the group once or twice, and they go to them and they say, you're taking the fall for all of this, and if you speak up, we'll hurt more people, we'll really get you. Why haven't they done that? Instead, they've decided to let us believe they're all...
Yeah, I don't believe that it's inherently in anybody's nature to be a pedophile.
Right.
It's a learned trait, maybe through trauma, or maybe there are some. I'm sure there are some, but I don't think everybody's a fucking pedophile.
Right, but they right now they're letting us all believe they're all human traffickers and abusers and everything. So like, why would they let us think that? Why would they be content with letting the public go on with that thought? The one answer that makes sense to me is if the truth is way worse. If the truth is way, darker and something that we couldn't have even imagined, then...
so speculatively, what could be way worse?
I would imagine it being kind of closely tied to whatever the Nazis were doing, maybe even working with non-humans to hand over humans. That kind of breeding program.
Farming humans somehow?
Yeah. Or, you're working on you're trying to breed in some sort of ability. The thing that to me that comes the most to mind is like telekinetic abilities or a predisposition for that. And maybe they would want to breed in that, whoever has a predisposition for that, to have a generation or a group that they could really cultivate those sort of those abilities in.
Breeding super soldiers.
Yeah, or people who are going to be more easily able to communicate with non-humans if the non-humans communicate telekinetically. Okay. Yeah. Or alternatively, if they're just actually crazy racial nuts, then they are, trying to breed the perfect people like Hitler wanted. There's always that. You could want that.
Yeah, right. But
breeding program in general.
Enough inbreeding will lead to the exact opposite.
Right. Well, I don't think they're inbreeding. That's why they got so many different people. But just a breeding program in general tells me that there's something way, way creepy going on. And maybe it is just a breeding program so that you have a supply of people that you can abuse. But if that's all it is, and they've been doing that for God knows how long, you would assume that you've already got your stock of people. That you don't have to take members of the public.
Maybe the Nordic people produce more adrenochrome, and they're farming adrenochrome.
Could be, yeah, very well. But the adrenochrome, those stories usually focus around children.
Right. Well, they're breeding them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So then they have the children to use.
And they weren't on anybody's radar because they were bred on the island.
And I know Epstein was really focused on like wormhole science. Like the scientists he seemed to focus around were all like into wormhole travel. That's what their area of expertise. Let's see, what science does it seem Epstein was most interested in?
Cognitive science and neuroscience.
Oh, that makes sense for someone who wants to manipulate.
Genetics.
If traits are heritable, why wouldn't elites optimize for them? Please don't let that be part of the future of what's coming in this crazy world. We're having elites bring back, but it probably is. If our technology is getting to the point where regular people can look at their child, while they're still in the womb and
genetically modify them
and select genes, then won't the elite do the same thing?
Yeah.
or they might even go further and say we need to put a gene in all the peasants to make them docile.
Right.
I don't think we're ever going to get anything with Epstein though. It's like every time they give us a little bit of Epstein information, they give us something crazy in the world, to give us
it's a new
on.
fucking headline, a misdirection, redirection.
It's crazy that the most normal person in this administration is RFK. And we keep hearing stories about like him sexting and everything else. So, but that is like
that's pretty normal nowadays, huh?
Yeah, that's the most normal thing coming out of anything with the administration. Let me close some of these other ones so it can still to be released. So far, only 12,000 documents containing 125,000 pages. They got a lot of pages and a lot of documents for somebody who didn't do anything. There was nothing there,
Yeah.
It was all a hoax. That's a lot of documents for a hoax. A whole lot of documents.
Well, let's take a minute to talk about our sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
New sponsor, me, Big Sexy's Brine Co. I am making homemade cottage food pickles, pickled perfection. I make spicy dilly beans, spicy pickles, pickled onions, pickled garlic. Everybody loves the pickled garlic. I can't keep it on the shelf. You can find me at vendor events at some of the kava bars around town. I'm going to do an event once a month at an amateur or semi-pro wrestling event in Greeley on a regular basis. And, coming up when spring hits, a bunch of farmers markets. With this economy, it's hard to find a job, so I decided to make one for myself.
Heck yeah.
Everybody seems to love them. So you can find me on Instagram. Send me a message if you want to put in an order at Big Sexy's Brine Co. And yeah, if you don't know me specifically, you're welcome to put in an order, and I'll see what I can do to get you some pickles. What else we got?
Well, we've got. Well, I want to say a little bit more on that one. I know one of the spots I can find you was at Karma House on First Fridays and any other days.
Yeah, Karma House First Friday every month. Sometimes Wellness Sunday, which is usually like third Sunday. I'm going to be up at Mile High Kava either Saturday, Sunday for their vending thing on third Saturday, I think. And then maybe every other Wednesday at Golden Kava Lounge for their Wellness Wednesday. It's all healthy, natural ingredients, real fresh stuff, and no additives whatsoever. So, pickles are good for you.
Pickled goods last essentially forever, right?
If you don't open the jar and you keep it in the pantry, it 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. That's a really good long
your jar of pickles will feed you through the apocalypse.
Yes, when the bombs fall out of our skies, you'll need some pickled goods. I'll have to get into all the pickled goods at that point.
We're gonna pickle everything when the bombs start falling.
Yeah. Speaking of which, another sponsor is Prep Starts Now. So Prep Starts Now is a hub for your family emergency preparedness. Life can be unpredictable. If recent times haven't shown you that, then just turn on the news. But Prep Starts Now is here to help you and your loved ones be ready for any crisis, whether it's a natural disaster, power outage, medical emergency, or more. They have the tools, knowledge, and support to help you prepare effectively. So their products feature a selection of essential emergency products, easy-to-follow guides, training on disaster response and first aid kits. So, whether you are trying to keep your family prepared for whatever disaster might strike, or you're just trying to be prepared for a camping trip or life in general, Prep Starts Now is a great spot to get prepared. So you can use our discount.
DTL 2025.
DTL 20. We should maybe update that one.
Yeah, we started in 2025. So.
DTL 2025 to get 15% off any product purchase, and that's at prepstartsnow.com. So don't be caught unaware. Visit prepstartsnow.com, and that That discount code will also help you support this podcast. So that you get 15% off any purchase, and we will get a 15% commission from your purchase. So that will be greatly appreciated to any listeners. PrepStartsNow.com.
Another sponsor we have is Shimmerwood Beverages. A Shimmerwood beverage creates CBD-infused seltzers crafted with full-spectrum CBD to provide a balanced, calming effect that helps reduce stress, ease tension, and promote a sense of well-being without any intoxicating effects. Twice recognized by Forbes as the number one CBD beverage in the U.S. and the best lower potency option. Shimmerwood seltzers offer a refreshing way to unwind, combining innovative wellness with delicious flavors. Each can blends locally sourced Maine fruit and cocktail bitters with full-spectrum CBD, delivering clean, complex flavors that make every sip enjoyable and relaxing. With unique options like Raz Lime, Chai Cherry, Ginger Orange, and Just Hemp, Shimmerwood offers a flavorful, health-conscious alternative to sugary soft drinks or alcohol, made without added sugars, caffeine, or artificial flavors. The CBD-infused seltzers are designed for anytime enjoyment. Whether straight from the can or as a base for a unique mocktail or cocktail, Shimmerwood's commitment to quality and transparency ensures each sip provides a pure, satisfying experience, making it the go-to choice for those seeking a natural, flavorful way to unwind. With our discount, DTL 2025, you get 30% off. And again, every one of your purchases gives us a 15% commission. It helps to support our podcast. It's a great way to unwind, relax, and check us out at the same time.
Right. Another great sponsor to check out is Good Feels. Everybody needs Good Feels at times like these. So Good Feels is a cannabis-infused seltzer. They have cannabis and CBD-infused seltzer that are great for just wanting to sit back and relax, or if you want to go to a get-together and don't want to drink, want to have something in your hand, get Good Feels. So their cannabis-infused seltzers that you can get at shop.getgoodfeels.com offers a unique range of THC-infused drinks, perfect for relaxing. Each drink has a high-quality natural ingredients for a clean, consistent experience. So they're ideal for relaxing at home, gatherings, unwinding after a long day, and they are meticulously formulated to offer refreshing, enjoyable taste. And Good Feels' brand mission is to redefine relaxation through innovative cannabis seltzers. You can order them anywhere in the States, and they're perfect for those looking to explore THC benefits in a delicious seltzer. So enjoy the benefits of cannabis without all the drawbacks. And you can use our discount code DTL2025 to get yourself 20% off any products from Good Feels website. And your purchase there will support us with a 15% commission on any purchase you make when using our code to support us continuing the podcast. So check out Good Feels and check out their THC or CBD infused seltzers.
Well, do you want to talk about finish up our talk about the Pole Star shift, the procession of the equinox?
Yeah, we can pull that up. We can go into that one. With all the events in the world, it makes me feel even more that like there is something big coming that our world leaders know that they're not sharing. And so the Pole Star, our Pole Star series was very fitting. I mean, computer's going a little slow here as I'm trying to pull that up. But where we left things off was focusing on the last Pole Star and signs that we have from history that show when that Pole Star left, there were big changes in the world. Everything from the area around Egypt becoming a desert to the classical age ending and leading all the way up to as soon as Polaris really became the Pole Star, that coincided with the European Renaissance, the beginning of colonization, and just the upward trajectory of the world since then. So now that we are nearing the end of Polaris, let's see, we should be experiencing similar times. If if the theory of these stars really affecting us has any real bearing. So
Well, it says here, Polaris is approaching its exact alignment in approximately 2100.
supposed to be peak alignment then,
Right?
Yeah.
And then the full cycle of all the pole stars, the full procession, all the way full circle is approximately 26,000 years.
Right. Well, I mean, the question in my mind is that 2100 date accurate? I would imagine it is, but if it's before
I don't know, it doesn't
then,
feel like it right now.
it doesn't feel
with
like it.
How hot this winter has been, and climate change, I guess you could call whatever the cause of climate change is. I believe it's actually there. I couldn't tell you exactly what, but as the axis drifts between stars, what happens?
Well, when the last pole star was leaving, it supposedly led to the drought event that led to the Sahara becoming the Sahara.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we didn't even mention that, but yeah, it's been 70 degrees. Well, we got a little snow yesterday.
Yeah, it's been on average 70 plus degrees.
And I think our little bit of snow yesterday was an abnormality. It's supposed to
Warm back up again.
go right back to being warm. So, yeah, I was saying to a friend a couple of weeks ago that, it's really only been a couple of centuries since the world experienced something like a year without a summer. The early 1800s, volcano Krakatoa went off, and the world experienced a year without a summer. And
Because of all the ash in the atmosphere?
Yep. And countries fail, nations fail, revolutions happen. Like it had big ripple effects, partly because a lot of people starved, a year without a summer. But what are the odds that maybe in our lifetimes we'll see something like a year without a winter?
Yeah.
And I feel like it would have equally devastating consequences. Like it's better than a year without a summer because it stays warmer, but nobody would expect it. So like all the, you could say, oh, it'd be more beneficial. We can grow more, but nobody's going to expect it. Everybody's going to do
nobody's
everything.
going to grow more.
Right.
Unless it happens every year.
Exactly. That first year, everybody's just going to be caught unaware. They're going
You're
to
gonna be like, what the fuck?
Right. You're going to operate as if you're expecting winter to come. So, but yeah, it increasingly seems to me that we are, if the pole star being aligned is supposed to be good, when it's in peak alignment, then I would suspect it's already moving out of alignment. It's already moving away. And maybe that's why we're experiencing the things we are in the world.
What is the Milankovitch modeling?
So the Milankovitch cycles it goes hand in hand with the pole star cycle. So it's a Russian scientist, Milutin Milankovic, came up with it, and it basically describes how as the Earth goes through the precession of the equinox, it leads to the beginning and ending of ice ages. So it just, even if you throw out all the astrology stuff of believing any of that stuff has any effect on our consciousness, just from a scientific point of view of as we move, it leads to the beginning and ending of ice ages, of major climate changes on Earth. Once every 20,000 years, it sort of shifts which hemisphere receives the most summer heat. Every 41,000, all of this is in the Milankovitch cycle. It controls the strength of our seasons, and then it's eccentricity cycle. But all of that just pretty much describes how the precession of the equinox affects the climate over very, very long cycles. I always want to look back at some of our predictions, and I'd like to throw out a really big prediction myself. This year is 2026. There are planned midterm elections later this year. I suspect that America will experience a Reichstag burning moment this year before we get to the elections. And maybe it won't be a terrorist attack. Maybe it's a pandemic. I don't know. But there's going to be an emergency. And an emergency that allows them to declare a state of emergency and seize power. Because if we make it to the midterms, the administration's going to lose a significant amount of power. And I don't see that happening. I don't see them doing that. I see them doing something. Maybe it's war, but I suspect we're going to have a Reichstag burning moment this year.
Explain the term Reichstag.
Before Hitler really took over Germany, the Nazis had won the election. They won a majority. They had won democratically in Germany, but they didn't have absolute power. And there was an event. There was an explosion at the Reichstag, which is their Capitol building, and a fire burning at the Reichstag. And when the investigation concluded, it was determined that the communists had set the bombs. Looking back, a lot of evidence points to the fact that the Nazis probably set the fire themselves, that they set off the bomb. But they said it was the communists. And after
that event allowed them to take total control?
The legislature passed an Emergency Powers Act giving Hitler all power, dictatorial powers. And they declared a state of emergency to root out the dangerous communists. And it's like, if you look at this administration's language already, we've already got the Gestapo, we've got the masked police, and it's crazy how 5 years has changed so much, or 6 years has changed so much. In 2020, the Border Patrol was wearing the mask so you couldn't see their full face. But the understanding then, and everybody's perspective then, was that they were wearing the mask to protect themselves from retaliation from the Mexican drug cartels. Mm-hmm. Now nobody believes that's why they're wearing the mask. The mask, you're not in Minneapolis worried about the cartel.
Yeah, the ICE agents are wearing it so the general public doesn't retaliate.
Yeah, but that's a big change in a short period of time. So he's already got his private army. He's already got his loyal private army, mostly filled with untrained people who accepted a $50,000 bonus to go after other people in America. So if there is some big event, if there is some terrorist attack or anything that would justify a state of emergency, I 110% believe the Republicans in Congress would vote him emergency powers. And I hate to say it, but I think that's where we're heading.
Yeah.
The changing pole star is supposed to lead to major earth changes, natural disasters, and that sort of thing. And sometimes I kind of wonder to myself if maybe that's what's on the way that they know about, but why the land grabs if there's some big natural disaster on the way? And there's also all sorts of speculation that this is the year that we get full disclosure, but not from the government just releasing files, that events will just be the disclosure.
Maybe it's going to be like an axis shift to where certain parts of the world are going to get more sun and other parts are going to get less, like you had just previously stated, that certain parts of the hemispheres will shift in the amount of sun that they get.
But that, for the Milankovitch cycle, that's supposed to be over like 40,000 years.
Yeah, but Greenland's cold as fuck right now.
Right.
Maybe not this winter, but maybe they foresee that being
warmer.
The richest part of soil
on
the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, or a safe refuge. Yeah, I mean
or maybe it's because it's farther away from Antarctica. I don't know.
It's real clear that there is something coming, something in the works there, because it's like it just seems like whatever game is being played internationally, they're not letting us in on it to help us even understand why we would be doing the things we're doing.
How close, if you're a flat earther, which I'm not convinced of just yet, but if you're a flat earther, where does Greenland fall in landmass there? Is it the center of landmass?
Near the center. It would be, yeah.
So it'd be away from the ice wall, away from outer threat?
Right.
More or less?
Yeah, it would. I am increasingly lately less and less of a flat earther, but I'd still very much believe that the model they teach is not true. I'm not,
it's completely disproportionate.
Right.
All the maps we've ever seen is completely disproportionate.
Well, and just the overall heliocentric model of what they say about space is I do not accept that space is a vacuum and that Earth I believe Earth is a pressurized gas environment, and therefore I cannot believe space is a vacuum, because you can't have a pressurized gas environment exist inside of a vacuum without
without a barrier.
without a barrier. Yeah. So, and to me, what makes sense is, all right, as above, so below. Everywhere I can see, there is something. It's filled with something. Imagine if there was when a fish hops out of the ocean and hops out up here, it probably feels like, I bet fish look at above the water like we look at space.
Yeah.
And say, oh, it's nothing there, because the substance they're used to being around them everywhere
is much more tangible than air.
Right. And it's not there once they hop out from above. So I would imagine it's something just like that there has got to be something up there making it up, some substance, but it's of a different density than our air. It's of a different density and quality than our air, and maybe that goes hand in hand with like the old stories of the firmament, because if it's not a vacuum, if there is something, then you've got to you've got to break into it. And I don't know, whatever the properties of its density and everything else, maybe it makes a barrier, if you will, where it meets Earth's air to encase us almost like a bubble, a little bubble of air,
Like water tension?
Right. So, but a pole shift could, if world leaders knew that a pole shift was coming, and that it would affect the weather and climate in the Arctic, that could make getting Greenland make sense. And if there's some destabilizing world event coming, then one thing it's going to do is going to make wars that would have been too risky become acceptable, because disruption's coming anyway. Some of this come from ChatGPT. It's like short-term dominance would matter more than long-term stability. If you know that some event is coming that's going to wreck long-term stability, then the only thing that matters is short-term dominance. Resource control would outrank moral positioning.
Well, that's what makes most sense. Maybe it's the most boring explanation, but oftentimes the most boring explanation is probably the most likely to be true.
Right, the simplest explanation. They know something big is coming. I find what I heard from the folks at Farsight, the remote viewers at Farsight TV, to be the most comforting, because they predict that this year we're gonna get disclosure, in the sense that they're going to reveal themselves in a way that's undeniable. So I watched their video talking about transitioning from 2025 to 2026, and they pointed out that, they claim, these are remote viewers who claim to be in touch with extraterrestrials. They claim that the extraterrestrials gave the example of, look at what happened at the beginning of 2025. There were drones and orbs all over the sky, and then nothing. It's dismissed. So it's like it would take an extreme event if our world governments are bent on the people not being aware, and they're going to try to make sure they keep it hush-hush always, it would take an extreme event for us to actually come to terms with they're right here, Because last year it was in our face, but we went on, life is normal. That I would love more than anything else. Maybe they'll pop out of Antarctica. I've had this idea in my mind for a long time that what if our leaders are preparing a rebellion against our alien overlords?
Yeah, maybe.
Because there's the long-standing rumor out of the military that the final move will be they're going to fake an alien invasion. Mm-hmm. Oh, what if they're not faking an alien invasion? Or I guess maybe you do have to fake an alien invasion a little bit, unite everybody, and then you fight the aliens.
Yeah.
I would hope something's good going to come, because, if we're going to behave like Nazi Germany, I would hope we at least get the benefits of Nazi Germany. At least before Germany started conquering everything, the way they teach us in history, Hitler pulled them from the Great Depression to great times. Things were good in Germany. And most of history teaches that if you have an empire, the seat of empire gets the benefits of the empire.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing them. Not seeing the benefits.
No.
Around here, but if we're gonna do that, at least can we at least have the good part too? It would be nice if things could become real nice in America and everything affordable.
Well, that'd be the one way to get everybody behind the regime.
We would buy
get
in.
some of the fucking spoils.
Yes, I think everybody would buy in if you're like, well, everything's going to be great, but we got to conquer.
We got
Iran.
it good over here,
Yeah, exactly. I think we should. I think a fun way to wrap it up would be the predictions for the coming year. Now that this is the first episode of the year.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There wasn't anything more on the Pole Star.
So yeah, across cultures, we got the axis of the world, the axis mundi, Yggdrasil in Norse terms, the world tree, Mount Meru. All of these things are describing a link between heaven and earth. And when that axis trembles or breaks, myths record floods, fires, and the end of ages. Picture the sky as a vast wheel turning through the zodiac. Each age, a bright star pins the axle in place, holding the world steady. But when the axle slips, the pole drifts between stars. The wheel shudders, season shifts, ice melts, sea rises. And to the ancients, the tremor in the heavens was the sound of the world ending. When the Egyptian priest told Solon that floods and fires erase mankind at long intervals, maybe he was describing the same cycle. The wheel shaking and the heavens changed their pole. Ages ago, we built wonders by resonance and lost them to our own dissonance. Now as the star returns to the pole, the heavens invite us to remember the song of creation itself.
Okay, well, with the wise words of Plato and Solon and the Egyptian priests, predictions for 2026. I think you've gone through a lot of them already.
Well, I made my Reichstag prediction, but
I feel like that's been something that's kind of looming for a long time because it definitely feels like we're going in that direction that they want to seize more and more control.
Yeah, and I mean it's all of them, because like. You would think that you would have others who would have spoke out after what we did with Venezuela or the threats to Greenland, but Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, mum's the word from them. They haven't said anything. And I think that's because they're all in favor of this American imperialism and the warmongering and all of that. So I'm going to predict more power outages and, more...
That's blamed on the weather?
Well... I think they're going to blame it on cyber attacks as what it will be, If
what are they really using the power for then?
Well, no, our enemies will knock it out.
Oh.
Before we picked up Maduro in Caracas, we turned the power off. It was interesting that the USA was able to do that so readily. But we turned the power off in the whole city. And then, here's an interesting thing. What we did in Venezuela is... like straight out of a Call of Duty game from 2013.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
Like verbatim to the storyline?
Let's see. Venezuela.
To the campaign?
Let's see if I can pull this
I told you
up.
everything's fucking scripted from a book.
Call of Duty Ghost. I want to see if I can pull this up. But I mean, yeah, it's... I wish I could find one that just shows Dick. Okay, this might be perfect because this is 30 seconds. I don't want to go too much longer than that. But this isn't showing the exact thing. But the opening, here we go. The opening of the mission looked exactly like it looked in real life, where in the game, we turned the power off, we sent some helicopters in, we got the high-value target, and we moved out. And it's like, that's it. 2013, the game came out, and that's exactly what we end up doing. Which, they totally
They were claiming he was invading other countries' sovereignty, right? And that's why they picked him up. Those are his war crimes.
No, I mean, right now they're just tying it to the drug trade. The first bit of charges they dropped immediately, which I thought was humorous. They were saying it's narco-terrorism, which is a made-up word. It's never been used before. Like we literally just made that up to get Maduro. But the first bit of charges they had is they say he was leading a gang, the Cartel of the Suns. They say he was leading that gang, and they charged him with having illegal guns. With buying guns that are illegal. We charge the president of another country with gun charges for having machine guns. Because I guess when you run a country, you're not allowed to buy machine guns. It's the most absurd thing ever.
Yeah.
He has a whole military. Of course he can have machine guns. And the idea that we would charge a foreign leader with American gun laws, absurd. But as soon as they got him there to court, they dropped the gun charges. And they dropped any claim about the gang. now they say the gang doesn't exist. The gang that we said he was running, we now say it doesn't even exist. So we're just getting him on the drug charges. I mean, to me, it's a kangaroo court. Like, we're his enemy. He's not part of our country. We can't just pick him up and like, there's no chance that he's going to be found innocent. You know?
Yeah.
And then like the American justice system, I thought it's supposed to be a jury of your peers. You can't tell me Maduro has a jury of his peers.
No.
You know, it's a jury
They're
of
not going to
Americans.
ship in a bunch of Venezuelans to be
The jury.
Jury.
That would be closer to justice. If America, like with Saddam Hussein, America didn't judge him. Iraq did. I'm sure if we really knew the details, that America had pre-decided what was going to be the result, the verdict of what happened to Saddam Hussein ahead of time. But like, at least it looks better. At least you let the Iraqis do it and not us.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to run Venezuela indefinitely. I just see parallel after parallel to Nazi Germany. You know, when the Nazis took over a country, they set up a puppet regime to be in charge of that country. And I think that they're setting us up to be the bad guy in the Third World War, because is that not exactly what we've done? With Venezuela, blatantly. But like, everybody knows we've been doing it forever, that our regime change wars and when we replace a leader. So if we lose the conflict that comes, China or whoever beats us will get to say they're liberating these countries. They're liberating the American puppet regime.
I think there's going to be definitely some sort of, whether it be chosen or inevitable disclosure of some kind. I don't know what exactly. I'm hoping it's aliens, or, you know, like there's going to be an entire shift of the axis of the Earth, or magnetosphere, or, you know, something science related to the point that there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
And it's going to explain some of the actions that look just off the wall or just don't make any sense to us, because they've all been very quiet about any of the weird things going on in this country for the last 4 years. You okay over there? Your mouse die?
Yeah.
Do you need a battery?
I think I should have some.
Do you know how to function without a mouse?
I do. And I should
Don't you have a
some.
mouse pad? A trackpad on there?
Yeah. But it's not as fun. I got an extra battery.
Okay. But I don't know exactly when. I would say probably close to the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Something big's going to happen. And, you know, maybe it is in our best interest. Maybe they are planning a coup against the secret alien government that's been here for centuries.
One can only hope, right? Because
Right.
like at this point, it's like, is there any good to come of? Oh, I forgot this one don't use batteries. I got to charge it.
After all that.
Yeah. Is there, like, there's got to be some good to come out of all of this craziness, you know? So, but I agree with you. I think disclosures is coming this year, and I'm excited to see what it'll look like.
Yeah. What else?
I'm gonna throw out a
What do you
prediction
think
for
is going to
another,
happen within the next 30 to 60 days?
another major illness spreading across the U.S.
Like COVID?
Similar, but I think the flu this
It's
time.
like norovirus right now.
Yeah, but I think they're going to make a big deal about it. So the flu, right now, there's been a lot of articles about the flu. It's a particularly strong strain of flu. And
Sure.
post office workers were recently, like just this week, were given guidance that they need to carry their letters and their paperwork to show that they are essential personnel. And the letter they all received said that, hey, you need to make sure you're carrying this so that you can pass through any travel restrictions. They haven't been told that since the pandemic. So I think something's on the way, and they know it. Because why would you tell the post office? Why would the post office need to tell their workers to have papers to make it through travel restrictions? What sort of travel restrictions are coming?
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. So that's my prediction for the next 30 to 60 is major illness is going to dominate the news.
I don't know. I see a sex scandal happening.
Yeah.
A nice little lighthearted sex scandal.
Yeah. We're, we might get something fun. 50 Cent is reportedly going to have another Netflix documentary come out about Jay-Z. That should be interesting.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the Diddy one.
Jay-Z is or isn't involved in the Epstein thing?
Yeah, it's similar world though of same thing.
B. Diddy?
Yeah, like that's where the allegations are out there are. I don't know if you've seen the Diddy one. The Diddy one's really good, and the thing that
I thought it was just like they didn't get any testimony from P. Diddy at all. It was just like let's
right, it is
fucking crucify him on this fucking thing.
Well, it's plenty of footage from Diddy. A lot of the footage he recorded himself, or he had people record. It's pretty damning, but it's like when I watched it, I did not feel like they gave him a bad treatment or anything. It seemed
the evidence was already there.
Yeah, and like a lot of it was like videos where he wanted to have himself record it because he's so egotistical. He thinks everything he's doing is important, but it's like this is now the footage that makes you look terrible. Nobody was recording you against your will. You wanted to be recorded. You wanted them following you around with a camera,
Yeah.
So, but the bigger question with Diddy is, and I heard Dave Chappelle say this, and I really agreed with him, is why now? Why'd they get him now? Because it's obvious.
It's been happening for how long?
20, 30 years. He's been on video camera. You've been beating women forever. You've been doing all this stuff forever. So why'd they get him now? It's probably, to me, that's why I say it's tied in with that whole Epstein world, because it's the same thing. It's like, why are and they got him on the Mann Act. They didn't even get him on the other charges. They got him on the charge of going across state lines to do debauchery.
Yeah.
Which is usually just a law they use to go after anybody big and famous. But there's allegations out there that Jay-Z is responsible for some killings. So we'll see what he goes in, what happens with him. So one more final fun piece for Maduro. I know our listeners can't see me with this, so I'm gonna try to describe it. If anybody's ever seen the little hand symbol that a lot of elites and celebrities will make that almost looks like a diamond.
Yeah.
When Maduro stood up in court to plead his innocence, he made that very symbol to the judge. He stood up and held his hands just like that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I want to see if I can find the image of that. But they painted it into the court painting.
Oh, wow.
How come when people plead innocent, why isn't it called pleading innocent? It's called pleading not guilty. I think this is it, but they're not showing the whole. But yeah, he's doing that very symbol. So there's been some people who've speculated that he made a deal with the administration and that all of this is for show. And I was like, well, what a stupid thing to do if this is for show.
He's retiring and going to live his days away in Valhalla in New Zealand.
Right. This is not the way to do it for show. No, but I think we've got an interesting year ahead of us for sure. And more than ever, people need to come together and don't fall into the...
Don't buy into the fucking misdirection.
Don't buy into all
Bad
the
shit
reasons
happens,
they're going to give us to be angry.
Don't get all uppity about it so they can have a reason to fucking shoot you.
They want a reason to put these troops in the street. They want a reason to come after us, So I hope, that is my hope and prayer for this year, is that we can all manage to keep our peace and not let them trick us into a situation that we don't want. What's your 30 to 60 day prediction?
Well, like I said, I'm hoping for a sex scandal. It'd be a nice lighthearted change. Somebody getting caught up with a girl under their desk or something would be nice.
Yes.
Nice little change.
That would be nice. Let's get a Trump Lewinsky story.
There you go.
Yeah, you can see I just pulled it up there with the flu stuff. They've kept it sort of quiet for the most part, but I've been seeing those articles in the article. Like the language they're using, I find concerning. Saying stuff like super flu and everything else like that is...
Who's that, Colonel Sanders?
Looks like it, don't it? It looks like
The
it.
fucking doctor giving a statement looks like Colonel Sanders.
All white with the bow tie. How come the most important doctors always wear a bow tie when they get them on TV? So 1,900 cases reported, significant rise in hospitalizations.
Yeah, okay. I'll buy that. I think yeah, we will see some sort of health scare again, and I think they either try and upplay or downplay the change in the unchange in weather for this winter.
Yeah. Well, they're not really reporting much on it yet, are they? As it's been pretty mum.
Well, I don't know. I haven't even been watching the news really. I have a hard time believing any of it anymore.
This can't be a sign of things to come for summer, because good God, we cannot have that hot of a summer.
No,
No, thank
with
you.
any water on the ground.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the big risk right now. What fire risk, and there's going to be fights over water.
Yeah,
because
there's always fights over water. Even when you have enough water, there's people fighting over water.
but more so now because it's going to be like with the drought's just going to continue and intensify thanks to this.
Don't we have cloud seeding? Why can't we just fucking cloud seed some snow clouds?
That would require them wanting to use their technology and equipment for the betterment of the people.
That's true.
You know.
They like us being beat down and
Somewhere along the way, they
Wanting.
must have figured they've made the calculation that they can make more money and maintain their power better, not improving our lives.
yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. You can make donations to Denver Theory Lab on PayPal at Denver Theory Lab. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at denvertheorylab@gmail.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or topic suggestions.
Till next time.